All right, another tough matchup this weekend for us with Virginia coming in, top 25 team. No Bronco very well from his time at BYU. We've had great games against them. They're known certainly for their defense, but and again, they're extremely talented. They've got elite players on each level of their defense, and just love the way they play. They're aggressive, they're tough, well coached, and again, I'm really familiar with Bronco from going against him when he was the head coach at BYU. We know about Charles Snowden obviously being the national player of the week. But they're long and athletic on the edge. Jordan Mack at the inside backer, one of the best inside backers we're going to see. Instinctive. So you're talking about Snowden at the outside backer position. You're talking about Mack at linebacker. They've got great depth at the defensive line, and they can go up to playing as many as 5 guys in there. And certainly on the back end of the defense, you've got Hall, who's, he's been a headliner for the last couple of years at the cornerback position, really physical as a run stopper, blitzer, going to be a high pick in the NFL. So it's a really good defense, and one that nationally I think they're 14th in total defense. I mean, they're in the top 20. Top 25 in all of the categories, and deserve to be. They're all over the field. And again, I just say schematically sound and cause a lot of issues. So we've got our hands full. Offensively, again, I think it all runs through Perkins. It goes through him in terms of his ability to make plays. He's explosive. He's extremely dangerous with the ball in his hands. He can throw the football at a pretty high percentage. Gets the ball out quickly. He's not going to, sit back there and wait on things. Reed's a really good receiver as well, and they move him around all over the place. So a great challenge for our football team, and one where we'll have to play really well, because if you look at a couple of times now, they've been down in games. They've come back from deficits and won. So a confident team, a well-coached team, one that you're going to have to beat them. They're not going to give you the game. So really good challenge, and one where we'll have to play extremely well. So with that, we'll get rolling with the questions.
I think you cleaned up all the injury questions yesterday.
Okay,
I
good.
am curious with Michael Young coming back, and Lindsey. As you get these guys back, how does your wide receiver rotation change, if at all? How do you keep guys like Javon McKinley still involved in that, or do you just skinny it down to your best guys?
No, I think we need them all. There's going to be, certain situations where we, need them by play call and situations. But, they're all going to be needed, and they all have to be able to help each other during the week in practice, too. So volume is important. So we keep them up, we keep them ready, and then there are certain situations in the game that, we feel like they match up for different times in the game and different play calls.
On Saturday night, I think you were pretty clear that you wanted to send a message to your team about what their mindset and mood should be like on Monday. I'm curious what vibe you're getting from your team as to how they were able to process the Georgia game and move forward.
I'll meet with them at around 3 o'clock. But our captains are already called a team meeting prior to that to want to meet with the team. So my sense and expectation is that they understand the importance of where we go from here after the Georgia game, and for them to fulfill the goals and the mission that we have set forth for us. We have to play better football from here on out. So pretty confident that they understand that and what's needed from them moving forward.
You gave a pretty good diagnosis of their defense. They're number one in sacks in the country. How do they maybe compare speed-wise in their front seven to Georgia?
Well, they're really long and athletic. I think there's there are 3-4 defense. There's some similarities there. There's some carryover there. But they're different in that they run the 3-4 a lot differently. I wouldn't say that there's a lot of carryover in terms of personnel other than, Snowden is long and athletic. He's kind of like the kid they had a couple of years ago out there. But just, a really good defense. So the best comparison I could give you is 3-4 with really good players similar to Georgia, and another challenge for us.
Coach, Saturday night you said that you think the defining moment for this team will come up this Saturday, not last Saturday in Athens.
Well, I think our team will define who they are, this week, because they're coming off of a game where they were disappointed in their performance. So they have a chance to do something about it. So this is an opportunity to kind of define, who you are, and that was much more closer to what I was trying to articulate it if I didn't do a good job with that.
I guess, are you curious to see how they function in a bounce-back type of situation?
Yeah, because I think it defines who you are. I mean, it clearly they know what's at stake for them this weekend. They're playing a really good football team that's nationally ranked. I think it's the first time they've been ranked for 3 weeks in a long time. So they feel really good about themselves. They're going to come in expecting to win. So they're going to be challenged, and they're going to have to respond. Yeah, you want to find those things out. I got a good feeling that they're going to respond in the right way. But again, it's closer to defining who you are after coming back from a loss than it is any time after a win.
How much do you think it helps kind of focus them, the fact that they've got another top 20 opponent right there for them?
Oh, Virginia has their attention. There's no doubt about that. So they know that they have to pay attention to their detail and play well against a quality opponent. So there's no question that when you play a team of this caliber, they recognize how important it is to go back to work.
Brian, I don't think anyone around here was surprised by Cole Kmet's performance against Georgia, but he hadn't necessarily put that on Saturday tape before this past Saturday. What does that do for how defenses will have to account for him moving forward, and what does that do for you guys offensively in opening up some other options?
Yeah, it certainly allows us to do things, schematically that provides openings, on the field for other players. Look, I guess you guys can all, follow the game pretty good. When you have a tight end that, can push the middle of the field, it creates some problems. If you want to play 2 deep zone, who's got that guy? Does the safety have him? Does the linebacker have him? So he creates some matchup problems that can spread the field, if you will, for other receivers to get some favorable matchups. So, yeah, he's a big piece to what we're doing.
And Jeremiah Usu-Cormo has been challenged a bit with having to play in space against some of the first opponents here. How do you feel like he's handled those challenges?
Well, I think it's been one where, he's had, coming into the Georgia game, 2 games to really kind of, build a resume. So it's not much, of a resume at this point. But I thought he showed some flashes and did some good things against Georgia, and made the kind of progress that we were looking for against Georgia. So I guess the best way to put it is that the arrow is up after the Georgia game with Jeremiah.
In terms of coming back from Georgia, you've talked a little bit about sort of the mental, the meeting and sort of refocusing. What, the physical aspect of it, though, when will you know whether they bounce back from that? Do you have to sort of wait for Tuesday's practice to come and go to sort of assess where you guys are physically?
You know, I get usually a pretty good sense of that on Sunday because all of our guys are required to check in by noon. And, you know, we have a pretty extensive check-in with massage therapy and chiropractic care. I make myself down there to get a pulse of the team. Feel like we're in a pretty good spot, you know, physically. You get a good sense of where you are. You know, we're only 3 weeks into the season. We had a bye week, so it's not like, you know, we're begging for a week off. So we came out of it pretty good. You know, I think our guys are ready for more, was the sense that I got.
So I guess after practice Tuesday, when you check the GPS numbers, you're expecting more to confirm what you believe now, opposed to like, okay, I need to learn about where we actually are.
Yeah, no doubt. I think what I would be expecting is, let's go, you know. We expect physical and demanding practices this week. Load them on. It's the grind time. Let's get after it.
Why is Clark Lee a good teacher, and how has he sort of had to adapt his teaching style from maybe more of a 400 level last year with Drew and Tavon to a 1 or a 200 level this year with a newer group of linebackers?
I think consistency in approach. He doesn't vary much from what he said from day one. He's not changing the drill workup each day. You know, I think they know what they're getting every day. He doesn't throw a curveball at them. He has an expectation for what those players need to do and what they need to master. And each day they close in on becoming better and better at it. And I think that's what he's done a really good job at, regardless of if it's a player with a lot of experience or a little experience. His consistency and his teaching approach has been really one where I think all levels have been able to adapt to it.
And lastly, I think right before the game started, you talked to the sideline reporter about Ian and staying in the pocket a little bit more. Why is that important for him? Did you see what you wanted? And I would think that sort of mobility behind the line of scrimmage is a strength where getting out of the pocket could be a positive, but just sort of how you sort of assess that part of his game right now.
Yeah. You know, some of it's tactical. You know, when you're in a 3 down, there's 2 bubbles inside, and you're going to get double teams inside that create a better pocket from the inside out. And, you know, Ian's 6 foot. He likes to slide a little bit to see. His better vision point would be inside versus a 3-4 defense. And when you're, sometimes you like to slide out to see a little bit better. Vision was going to be better for him this week inside the pocket. He did a nice job with that.
Brian, I wonder if you could, touching on what Tyler talked about with Cole, if you could talk a little bit about the skill sets that Cole brings to the tight end position as compared to some of the tight ends you've had here in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a cross between maybe a Troy Nicholas and Tyler Eifert. You know, he brings that, you know, physicality and big, you know, big body type tight end where he's imposing, but still has the ability to catch and run. So, you know, you're getting kind of a combination there. You know, he's still young, you know, at the position, still emerging, you know. We were just talking about, you know, how sometimes we're asked about, you know, the development of our players. Ian Book's had 13 games as a starter. You know, that's 1 year. Tommy Reese had 31. Brady Quinn had close to 50. And, you know, sometimes you try to equate, you know, Ian Book to where Brady Quinn was. Well, tell me when Ian Book gets up to 50 games, you know, I'll let you know where he is. Cole's only had 6 real starts, you know, so he's emerging, you know, he's getting better, but he hasn't had a ton of playing time. But, you know, he's gaining a better sense of where to be, how to find the soft spots and zones and things of that nature. But he's certainly not, you know, a Tyler Eifert in terms of that savviness that he got after, you know, 3 years of experience. But he's making good progress in a very short period of time.
And you had expected, you know, if he didn't have the injury last year, that he'd probably be beyond that point right now?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's no substitute for game experience. You know, obviously, you know, you count the Georgia game and the experience he got from there, not only in playing in the game, but the confidence that he gained from that, you know, exponentially. You can't put a number on that. So he's going to come in with a lot of confidence this week. Obviously, he's going to feel real good about, you know, not being injured too. I'm sure our doctors were cringing the first time, you know, we threw the ball to him. We didn't take it easy on him. But
Well, you didn't wait too long.
we didn't wait too long. I mean, we put him right in the frying pan. But he, you know, I think he's got a lot of positive feelings about what he can do and how he can impact the offense.
And of course, you're home this week, so the crowd noise, the atmosphere and the environment's not going to be a problem, hopefully. But what do you take from the things that you did last week, the problems that you had down there with the count, and as you're moving forward this season, do you work on those things in practice, knowing that somewhere down the line you're going to need to add that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sick about it. I mean, I've been a head coach for 29 years. I know better, to be quite honest with you. We didn't spend enough time, obviously. I thought I did. I made a terrible miscalculation in that I felt like our quarterback was prepared, but he wasn't, and that falls on me. Consequently, we had 3 critical, you know, cadence, you know, issues that who knows where that could have led to, you know. So that falls on my shoulders. You know, I got to do a better job, and we'll make sure that never happens again.
Coach, up here. On the CBS broadcast, Gary Danielson accused your program and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah of faking an injury. I wanted to see if you could give us your take on what happened there and your reaction to that.
Well, I don't know where that really comes from, but, you know, our protocol is if any player has suffered an injury and they're not feeling right, we want them to go down. We want them to get medical attention. We have a medical spotter that is communicating with our trainers, and we don't want to risk anybody that's not feeling right. So I'm proud of our guys that they have, you know, made sure that procedure is followed correctly. We're not going to fake injuries. We're a tempo team, but we're going to make sure the protocol is followed based upon what our training staff wants under those conditions.
The one but in that was that Sean Crawford appeared like he was about to go down also. I don't know if you guys were saying.
Say that again?
Sean Crawford appeared like he was ready to go to the ground also on the same play. I don't know if you went back and saw that or why that would be the case if maybe someone from the sideline was saying get down to Jeremiah and Sean decided he was going to for a second.
Oh, don't know. I don't know about that. If he was told to get down, it was probably for Jeremiah. Maybe Sean misunderstood what was going on under those circumstances, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Just wanted to follow up a little bit on Pete's question with Clark. I think we've always kind of described him as kind of professorial in the manner in which he presents himself, and so many times there's this impression of a defensive coordinator needing to breathe fire and all. Is that something maybe you see behind closed doors that we don't? Or how is it that the team seems to respond so well to his teachings?
Well, he has a very clear messaging from the very beginning of the week. As I said to Pete in his questioning relative to technique, for the entire unit. When I sit in the meetings, which will be today, you know, we lay out a clear message as to what our expectations are from a defensive standpoint. And there's really, I don't think there's one player that doesn't know what to expect from Clark and the staff and where they fit, you know, in that big picture. So I just think that there's a you know, a sense of everybody knows what their expectations are, and he's able to get the best out of them. He builds really good relationships with the players, and he demands in practice the kind of defensive demeanor that is necessary to play with a physicality, but with the right emotional control. So if you're on our practice field, no, I don't know that there's a lot of yelling and screaming, but there's straight talk, and straight talk will get the job done as well.
So I wanted to ask about Gandiji. He's been overshadowed from the moment he came in, because he came in with Dalen and Kareem. Those two had originally committed to USC and Alabama, and it's like, wow, those are steals, whereas Ade had committed to Western Michigan, and it's a reaction of what's Notre Dame doing recruiting a MAC-level player. But can you talk about his progress and to where he's gotten to where he is now?
Yeah, he's playing great football for us. He has worked so hard to get himself to where he is today. Mike Elston's done a terrific job of rewarding those players that have warranted the playing time as well, and he has. So the credit goes to him and Coach Bayless. Our nutrition staff has done a great job, and he has as well, in putting on the weight and doing it in the right way. But this is total player development within the program, and a great indication of that you can be you know, somebody that develops within the program and not ready-made and still be an impact player. Do you want 20 of them? Probably not, because you're probably not going to get all 20 to end up to where Ade is. But there are certain instances where you can bring in a player like this that is so hungry and so motivated that you get the end result with Ade.
What did you see in Ade that made
We
you...
saw that kind of personality, that he wanted to be great. Everything that he wanted to do was to be successful in the classroom, to be successful on the football field, to be successful in life. And so we saw that passion in him that we thought would translate well.
Thank you.
Brian, yesterday you said about the running game that, I want to make sure I get it right from the transcript here, it's going to take some time until you get all the assets back in place. Is that, should I read from that once Jafar and Jameer get healthy, you feel confident about the job your offensive line's doing now, that the running game will click?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to find ways to move the football. Look, I mean, I think in the vacuum, everybody would love to be, you know, 300 yards rushing, 300 yards passing. But we're going to, until we get up to the strength that we need to at the running back position, we're going to find ways to put points on the board and win football games. It looks good that we're going to get Jameer back this week. We'll see how things go in practice the next couple of days. We've got to rely on Avery and Sibo Fleminster more than we did. We were, you know, obviously a little reticent to put them out in the atmosphere at Georgia, but we've got to rely on those guys. I thought the offensive line did a really good job against a very difficult defense to handle in terms of pass protection. But we've got to find a way to run the football too, and we're going to have that challenge against Virginia.
And then on special teams, what were the explanations for the procedural penalties that were called?
Well, we had one illegal formation, we had one false start, and then we had one double team that was interpreted as double teams are no longer allowed, and one holding penalty. we disagree with the double team. The double team was taken off because it was anytime the ball is kicked out of the back of the end zone as a touchback, those penalties are taken off. The procedure penalty, we felt like we warranted a warning on that, which we generally get, to move the player up. We didn't get that, but it is what it is. So we got to clean those up. Those are on us. That's our responsibility to make sure. You know, I look at penalties. We had 12 of them. That's way too many. I think 10 of them were foolish penalties, and that falls on the staff and me in particular to clean up foolish penalties. And a couple of those are penalties that we've got to fix.
Thank you.